Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Ashley and today I'm going to be giving you guys a spoiler-filled reading vlog for The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you know that I am a huge fan of The Bone Season. Now, I got inspired to do this video from Jade from Jade Rereads earlier videos of where she did a reread of the ACOTAR series by Sarah J Maas, and I thought what a great way to basically go back and reread these books after having the fourth book in the Bone Season series having come out in the late part of January. So I thought this would be a perfect way for me to A, reread one of my favourite series of all time, and B, just to pick up on some of the things that I may have missed having done a quick reread of this series at the beginning of January before The Masked Lion came out. You guys an overview of what this book is about. In this book we follow a 19-year-old girl called Paige Mahoney. Now Paige is a clairvoyant in futuristic London, but however clairvoyancy is illegal, and if you are captured you are basically sent to death. So one day Paige is caught using her powers on the way to visit her dad, and essentially she is captured and taken away to what she assumes is going to be her death. But this turns out to open the world in a whole new light. So obviously now we are going to go into spoiler territory for this book. So if you guys have not read this series yet and you really want to, please click away now because we are about to go into spoiler territory and my thoughts while rereading this book again in 2021. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey guys, so I thought I'd just give you guys a bit of a quick reading update. So I'm currently up to page 60 of the Bone Season. As you can see, it's probably not going to focus, but I have already started tabbing this. So I'm up to page 60 and we've just had the scene where Paige meets Warden and the Sheriff for the first time, and just going back through the first few chapters of this book and just slowly annotating stuff that comes up through this. It's just so amazing to me that how much you pick up having read the first four books in the series and then going back again, just how good Samantha Shannon is at firstly world building, but then the foreshadowing as well. Like there's always even just little morsels of little quotes that you wouldn't even think about when you first read it, but knowing what I know now, having read book 4 and the others after the first one, it's just, you kind of think to yourself, how does she do this? How does she manage to create such a expansive world? And at the age of 19 too, like she was my age when she first published this. So yeah, I'm really enjoying just taking my time, going back through the book and inhaling all the little juicy bits that I wouldn't have picked up on my first read. Like this is one of the many reasons why I love Samantha Shannon's work. She has such a way of just drawing you into the story. Like, admittedly, the first maybe 3 chapters of the Bone Season are quite info dumpy. I know that kind of threw me a bit during my first read through because it's hard to believe, but my first read through I actually struggled with this book. yeah, there was a few times where I actually considered DNFing it because it's hard to imagine now because going back and rereading it again, like I reread this back in, was it February, before I read book 4, because I had a vague remembrance of what had happened, but it was just so nice to go back and just reread it, and just knowing what I know now, it was such a good idea to do that. And now that we have book 4 out in the world at the beginning of the year, it's just interesting to go back again and just see how many more little morsels of detail you can pick up in the story. So yeah, so like I say, I'm only up to page 60. We've just got to the part where Warden's chosen Paige as his, well, slave kind of, but if you know, you know. It'll be interesting to see just how many more morsels of detail I can pick up as I continue to read this. But I'm only, like I say, I'm only up to page 60 at the moment. I'm probably going to take a bit of a break because I've just been sitting up and reading and my neck's getting a bit sore. So yes, but that's where I'm up to in terms of my reading for this book. Probably will read a little bit more later on this afternoon before I go to work, but yes, I'm just really enjoying picking this up again and just knowing what I know now with the first 3 books, and then now having book 4, just because in book 4 a lot of stuff we didn't know kind of gets wrapped up, and then obviously going into book 5 we're going to have the second story arc, because the first 3 books were one story arc, and then book 4 has kind of been the bridge book in between. So yes, it'll be quite interesting to see what else I can pick up in my read through as I go. But even just in the beginning, the references to certain characters and what they do, if you know, you know. Certain characters in the book have done, and even just the hints and dialogue that Samantha Shannon drops, you think, how you do it, honey, how you do it. But yeah, I'm going to stop rambling. So that is where I'm up to at the moment, and I shall check in with you again when I have a bit more of a reading update. Hello. So I realise I have not given much of an update for this vlog. That's because I haven't done much reading at all. Just the last few days I've just been felt not in a reading mood at all. But I am currently watching Pris's reading sprints. So I have now made another little substantial chunk at this bad boy. Was that going to focus? I didn't. There, that's better. Is it what? Focus? Don't focus on me. Focus on... Okay, it's not going to focus, but yes. So I'm currently up to page 180. And we've found out a little bit more about the world and the clairvoyant system. So we've not long had the first confrontation with Nishira and the others in the first official test that Paige had to do, and Seb's death is, if you've read the bonus season you'll know who Seb is, but he was just a character that I thought probably was going to stick around for a little bit longer, but sadly he didn't. So yeah, during that test Nishira killed him, and they also branded Paige, but yeah, so they now know she's enjoying all good. But from rereading this again, it was pretty obvious that they knew anyway from starters, and she's also patched Warden up now twice. For the first time he sort of played it off as not knowing, but they've just done it the second time, and they've just started her training as well. So yes, that's been quite interesting to just look back and see all the little nuggets that has been left through the writing about Paige's history and her relationship with Nick, who we now just getting to the part where we've only just not long had the part where she's explained to us her reaction with the poltergeist when she was a kid, and that's basically what's awakened her clairvoyancy when she was a kid. So, and it was also the first time she met Nick, and then we're now up to the part where she is meeting him again at the age of 9 when he turned up at the school. So I'm now up to that part. I'm probably going to do a bit more reading later tonight. But yeah, so that is where I'm up to in terms of plot. It's and she's also just found out about the past bone season. So obviously there's bone seasons every year in this world, and they round up all the clairvoyants and take them to Shoal 1, which is the concentration camp pretty much that Paige has been taken to in this. And they basically, she's just found out that there was an uprising in the year before she was born, and that some of the Raphite were involved, and basically they got betrayed by a human. If you know, you know who that is, but it's knowing who it is, now that I've read the next 3 books, and you do find that out in later books. I won't spoil who that is in this vlog, but knowing who that was and how that character relates all the way back to Paige and when she first met this character, it's been quite interesting knowing all these, just seeing all these little minute details about the plot now that I have read the other 3 books, and with book 4 having had so many revelations being resolved in that one. So yes, but yeah, it's been quite interesting to see what has been unfolding. But yeah, so basically we're starting to get to the part where Paige is sort of, she still hates Warden, but she really wants to, she essentially has just made a deal with him to, obviously she can't get it for him because that's a thing, but, and he is just drinking her blood to survive this fever from the, what were they called again? I'm too, yeah, that's what it was. So yeah, so basically she's walked in on him after she's found out about the disastrous brain season, and he's been delirious and dying, so she's just offered her blood to him to basically heal him for the second time. So they've kind of struck a deal for him to owe her a favour for doing that. So yes, that's about where I'm up to reading wise at the moment. I'm finally glad I'm getting back into the reading mood for this, because we are now in the beginning of week 3 of Spoopathon, and I have not even finished one book for that. The only book I have read this month is The Gilded Cage, which hopefully by the time this goes up, my reading blog for that shall be posted. So I will link it up in the video description thing here. Please forgive me, I have been very, very tired the last couple of days because I've just been out both days. So yes, that's what I'm up to at the moment, and I shall hopefully give you another update soon. Hello. So I thought I might give a bit of a reading update. So I'm currently up to page 293, and we've just had a little bit of a flashback to Paige's meeting with Zeke and Nadine, who are characters that we don't actually meet until book 2, for obvious reasons. But yeah, so we just had the flashback from when she's met them, and we've also had the flashback of back to when she was in Ireland and they had the Molly riots, which her cousin has supposed to have died. Now there is a lot of speculation amongst the Bone Season fans that the cousin is still alive. It hasn't been confirmed. Yes, like I said, we're only up to 4 books, and throughout those he hasn't really been confirmed as dead or alive, so it's kind of up in the air. But there is a lot of speculation that he is a certain character who comes into play later, but obviously I won't spoil that there. So yes, we've had those 2 flashbacks, and we've also had the scene where Paige becomes part of the Red Jackets, which are the fighters keeping the, I forget the names, but the creatures that basically try and attack through the spirit realm. So she's basically been made a red coat and so on, and she's also started to suspect that Warden is one of the Scarred ones, who were the refs who were a part of the uprising in the last one of the Bone Seasons from years ago. So she started to have her suspicions about that, because we've just had the scene where the dynamics have sort of started to shift between them. So like she's starting to suspect that he may be actually part of something else and not really part of Nishira's inner circle, because he has been secretly sneaking out to fight these creatures, and we've also just found out that he's technically not supposed to. So, and as far as we're told, Nishira isn't aware, but I have a feeling she knows anyway, but it's been a few months since I reread the first book, so it's just interesting now to come back and see all the minor hints that we get dropped throughout the narrative and how they come into play later. So yeah, she's basically just said to him that, well, I have my suspicions about you, but I haven't told Nishira, and yeah, so she basically, there's been that secret, unspoken understanding that, yes, I do know that you are one of the Scar ones, even though you won't admit it. Please excuse the lightning if you heard thunder if you heard that. So yes, that's the point I'm up to at the moment, and they've just been given this task to go and try and capture the 7 seals, which is, of course, Paige's gang in the book. But yes, so it's very interesting to reread that and get the perspective from Paige, because knowing what I know now, having read the other 3 books, that yes, there's a lot more to Nishira and Jackson than meets the eye. I won't go into details here about why that is, but anyone who's read the other 3 books will know what I'm talking about. So yes, we're just getting ready to go and do this assignment to basically capture this medium that Jackson is trying to recruit. So yes, I shall give you guys an update when I'm a little bit further on into the book. Okay, so I'm up to page 354, and we've not long just had the mission to go and capture the clairvoyant, which has not gone well. So during that time, Paige just tried to get away, but sadly that didn't happen. And during that she got shot, and so Wooden's just not long saved her. And now we've discovered the part about the golden cord. So basically this cord is established between 2 souls when they save each other more than 3 times. So basically she saved him about 3 times, and he saved her more than 3 times. But so far in the story, don't know what they are. It's been a while since I've reread this series. Well, actually, no, it hasn't been long. It's been about 6 months, but yeah, it's just difficult to remember some of the finer things because this world is so complex in it. But yeah, so we've had the scene where they've realised the golden cord exists between them now. So basically, it's their way of being able to communicate with each other from basic long distances. And we've also found out that the way Warden has found out some of her thoughts is that the extra pill that he's been given her is basically his way of essentially mind reading her in a way. So obviously not too happy. She wasn't too happy about that, which obviously you can understand given the circumstances. But yeah, so we've just had that part where they've established a golden cord between them and they don't quite understand what it's about. So, and then we've just also had a scene with Paige and Terabelle. Not that Terabelle's communicating with Paige, but she is a character that we only see through various... We've only seen through various aspects of the book so far, and we haven't actually got to talk with her too much throughout this book. So, but she is basically on the side of the humans that took part in the uprising that is mentioned earlier in the book. And yes, Paige has killed one of the sagas, which is the Shearers in the circle. So yeah, so that's where we're up to at the moment. And we've also just learned that Paige is going to share why she is so closed off and she is afraid to kind of basically open up to anyone about her past. And that has a lot to do with Nick, because throughout the book we know that she's had quite intense feelings for Nick. And yes, so yes, it was quite interesting to go back through this book and just slowly appreciate the amount of thought Samantha Shannon has put into, obviously, the characters, but the world building as well, which is really great. So I'm going to keep reading, and hopefully I can get the rest of this done by work. I've only got a small chunk of my book left, so hopefully I can get that done in between having dinner and getting ready to go to work. So yes, I shall provide you with an update again soon. Okay, so I'm up to page 404, and we've just discovered that Auden is in fact one of the Scar ones, which from the hints we've been getting has been fairly obvious, but yeah, so we found out that he and Terrabelle were the part of the rebellion that unfortunately didn't go well, and he's not long just revealed to Paige that a human was the reason why they failed, because basically this human, foreshadowing, if you know you know, betrayed them. It's just, knowing who that person is, having read the other books, I'm like, oh my god, but I won't bring up that him. So yes, we've just had that part, and we've also they've just started formulating the escape plan to happen at the bicentenary, which is the chapter I'm up to now, and they've also just had Liz being healed by Auden using the Amaranth, the loss of the Amaranth that he's had, because Nishira visited their room after the reveal of she doesn't really give a heart to anyone, and that's because she was in love with Nick, but then found out he was gay. So hopefully they've had this discussion about that, how it feels to be only wanted for what powers you've got instead of the person you are. So yeah, so I'm just about getting to the tail end of the book now. It's about 20 to 5, so hopefully I can get the rest of this done before I go to work. It's not a big amount, but yes. Okay guys, so I've just finished the book, and just going back and rereading this again after having book 4, just how do you explain it? It's the amount of foreshadowing, even in the quotes that are used, like on the very second last page, 451. I don't know, I just want you with me. When do we hear that again, I wonder. But yes, just rereading this all over again, it amazes me how much thought Samantha Shannon puts into not only the writing of the book you're currently reading, but into future novels, and just how she intertwines certain plot points and that. So I will give you a rundown of what happened in the very last part. So we just had the kids with Auden and Paige, their very first kiss, and the tension between them is just, oh my god, it is just perfection. I love it so much. And then, of course, obviously, unfortunately, they get caught out by Nishira during the bicentennial, but thankfully, what happens is that the Seven Seals come to rescue her, and she basically ends up going on the train with some of the other clairvoyants and causing a distraction. Yeah. Also, she does meet Seb again by reaching out to him, to his spirit, and sending him on. There is a bit of foreshadowing in that as well, although I don't know whether it's really foreshadowing, whether it's more a plot point that may come in later. He says to her, what does he say? So basically before she sends Seb off, he tells her that there is a secret and something about them sucking them all dry, but unfortunately we don't learn what that secret is. I have a feeling it's maybe related to something that happens in the third book, but like I say, it's been quite a few months since I've reread these books before book 4 came out, so I sort of didn't really take the time to sit down and go through the plot in detail like I probably should have done. Basically, I just wanted to do a quick reread of those books before book 4 came out, so I kind of knew the basic storyline of what happened and fill in any blanks I had. So yes, basically the first book ends with Paige getting on the train and escaping, going back to Silent London. One of my favourite parts in the end of this book is when she meets up with Jackson again. She basically tells him to shove his job where the sun don't shine. As we know, that comes into play more in book 2. I'm not going to spoil that too much, but yeah, so I'm going to finish filming this part here, and I shall hopefully see you guys again tomorrow for the ending when I'm a bit more awake. That was basically my thoughts on the Bone season, doing my reread. So if you guys are interested, I will definitely be doing a spoiler-filled reading vlog for book 2, which is of course the Mind Water. So feel free to let me know in the comments below whether you guys would like to see that. I know I am definitely keen to do a reading vlog for that book. I may even do it anyway, even if the interest is not there. But yeah, that is all from me for this video. If you guys liked it, please feel free to give it the thumbs up and share it with your friends. And I shall see you guys in the next one.